This is In Character. I'm your host, Gerard Robinson, Vice President for Education at the Advanced Studies in Culture Foundation. Hello, everyone. My name is Gerard Robinson. Welcome to another session of In Character. This is the one-on-one time where I have an opportunity to speak to someone who participated in a group discussion, but now we do a one-on-one to do a deeper dive into one issue, maybe two. And to do that with me right now, we have Jeffrey from Nevada. Welcome back.
Hi, Gerard. Nice to be with you again.
Good. And for those of you who will watch this, he has the coolest mic. So if you're looking for one, you want to check out Jeff's work.
It looks fancy.
Jeff, during our conversation with the group, you talked about running for public office. You did not win, but you still walked away a winner because you were able to talk about ideas. You were able to talk about why education matters, but more importantly, why teachers should get involved in politics. So talk to us a little bit about that experience and your thoughts today about people like you entering politics.
Yeah, so, I've had the opportunity to actually talk with a number of teachers that have run for various offices, from local races, school board races, to state legislature, and those sorts of things. And, one of the things that comes up over and over again is teachers telling me that they feel like when they're running for office, whether they make it and actually, win the office, or if they're a candidate like me, is that they feel that they are part of the conversation, whatever the political issues are of the day. Obviously, there are kind of perennial issues with us as educators when it comes to things like class sizes, when it comes to things like funding, equity issues, that sort of thing. But just having a seat at the table is really important. It is really an impetus for a lot of teachers that I know that have run for office.
What was the response from people you spoke to while you were running? And then once you did not win, people still recognized you. What were responses then?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, so there is that kind of residual effect of running for office, particularly as a result of social media. Handbills, depending on, again, the size of your race. I ran for a local assembly seat, so that's really in a smaller geographic area. But, certainly my teacher friends and colleagues knew that I was running for office. And, I became almost like the de facto policy guy. If people had questions about bill drafts or, what's going on in the state legislature, or maybe they have questions about particular people who are in office. Maybe I know them or know them by reputation, that sort of thing. And so people would direct questions my way about those sorts of things. And they still do. And it's been a number of years. So yeah, there's quite a bit of residual effect.
As you know well, to run for political office, it takes resources, and I'll let you define resources as you like. If you were giving advice to someone, what are two things they should think about as it relates to resources?
Okay, Gerard, you broke up a little bit. Let me just repeat the question, see if I got it right. You asked me about two resources that I would recommend to other teachers.
We're thinking about running for office.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the first and most important resource is resource of time. Running for office, as I write in a blog post that I'm writing right now, is like taking on another full-time job. And so it really has to be part of your calculation about whether or not you want to run for office. I'm going to be honest with you. When I ran for office, I didn't give it any thought. I didn't know any better. And it was kind of like, certain things fell in place. The opportunity was given. Hey, Jeff, do you want to run for office? And I'm like, yeah, of course. I'm a history and government teacher. This is, right in my lane. I was really excited. I was pumped to do it. So I, jumped into it feet first without realizing, unfortunately, some of, the finer points of running for office. So time is going to be the major one. Look, there's no coincidence that we see, especially in citizen legislatures like we have here in Nevada. It's not a full-time legislature. A lot of retired teachers doing it because they have that time. Not only that, but you have to think about things like travel. In Nevada, it's a very large state, as I'm sure you're aware. Population, 75% of us are down here in the South, yet our state capital is in the North. That's 8 hours by car, about an hour by plane. But it's not feasible to commute back and forth on a daily. So you're talking about separation from family for, ostensibly the session. So, you have that issue to contend with. Whether or not you're going to be able to maintain your responsibilities as a classroom teacher, or whether or not you would have to take a sabbatical, how that would all play out. So those are some of the core things. So that would be issue number one, time. Issue number two, I think you mentioned it, is resources of finances. Campaigns are not cheap. And if you're in it to win it, then you have to raise and spend the money to get your message out there. And that might be the single largest challenge, I think, for teachers, if there was one, running for office, is having to ask people for money. It's not normally part of our character to do that sort of thing. We're givers as a profession. We're not takers. But it's absolutely fundamental to winning office, unless you're independently wealthy, and there may be some that are that can finance their own campaigns. But generally, yeah, you're going to have to hit those phones. You're going to have to sit down with those lobbyists and figure out how you're going to raise the money for the handbills and for the yard signs and for the A-frames and all of that stuff. Even local races like school board require a certain amount of funding. So you got to figure that out.
And it's wonderful that when you said resources, you talked about time. You talked about time away from family, something that we often forget. You talked about the geographic challenges. I'm in Charlottesville, so about an hour away from our capital. But if you're in the southern part of the state, some of those cities or counties are closer to other capitals than their own.
Yeah.
And surely money is part of it. But you bring up something I have not heard before. We know the teachers and the profession is a giving profession, but you're right. We're not taught how to raise money. Now, I'm going to two ed schools. I can't think of one class that I had on how to raise money as an educator, or even in my school finance class, no conversation about raising money. Most of that, of course, was taken care of by state and federal and local government. So that's a good point to look at.
Well, one of the things that I don't know if I read it somewhere or someone said it, that a way to think about that is that you have to be so confident in your message, so confident in your vision, that when you're asking people for contributions, you're really asking for an investment in that vision. It's not for you personally. Mm-hmm. It's for an investment in the vision that you're bringing to the table. And kind of thinking about it that way makes it a little bit more palatable, a little bit easier to swallow. But still, it's hard. It's hard for us to do that.
And I like the use of investment, because an investment in you can last beyond a campaign. They invested in you. In fact, some campaigns allow you to keep funds after an election and to use it for other points.
Right.
Well, this is exactly, Jeff, why we had you on this show. Thank you again for sharing your ideas. Look forward. He's already told you he's writing a blog. So we'll make sure to tweet that out on CultureFeed. I do it through my individual blog, and Catherine Bassett does the same. So keep up the good work in Nevada, and we're here to help you out.
Thanks, Gerard. Appreciate it. It's great talking with you again.
You too. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.